So earlier this year at Apple's WWDC, they gave us a preview of what Apple Intelligence has been like, and now that it's out in beta with iOS 18.1 and macOS Sequoia 14.1, you would think that Apple would be giving us a lot more of AI features than they actually are giving us. So we're going to start off with what Apple Intelligence is. Apple Intelligence is essentially Apple's version of AI that's going to be able to proofread, generate images, write text, and essentially just help you with your daily life. It's also going to be used to make Siri so much smarter. So it'll have on-screen awareness and just be aware of what's going on. And if you ask it a follow-up question, it'll be able to grasp that knowledge and understand what you're truly asking about instead of just saying, sorry, I can't help, as Siri lacks years behind the competition. Now, Apple Intelligence is being delayed until 18.1 and macOS Sequoia 14.1, as I mentioned earlier, with it being in beta right now. Now, you do need a 15 Pro series or an M1 iPad or MacBook and later, but I am going to caution, do not install a beta on your main device, okay? It is still in beta. 18.1 is going to be in beta and probably until early November, maybe late October based off of previous releases, but I definitely would not recommend installing any beta software on any of your main devices, as they can break them, they are betas, there are bugs, there can be issues, so do not install it on your main device. If you have an old iPhone lying around, you can install it on that. I have an old 13 Pro that I've been running 18 on, and it's actually been a great experience that makes me even more excited for my 15 Pro Max and everyone else to get it later this year. Now that disclaimer is out of the way, it is showing very promising in the beginning based off of everything we've seen with people hands-on. But there's so much more that Apple can do with it that I kind of think we should get. So what is Apple missing from Apple Intelligence? Well, these are just some of my thoughts, and I definitely want to know your thoughts in the comments if you've thought of something. And while you're down there, if you want to hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it as well, just because it helps me out and knows that you guys want to keep seeing more videos like this. Now, wallpaper generation. With iOS 16, our wallpapers were completely redesigned. You can have custom ones for colors, photos, live photos, really whatever you want. But now Apple is giving us image generation or image playground and Genmoji and essentially the ability to create whatever we want using Apple Intelligence. Now, I think we should get a toggle in the wallpaper settings on your iPhone so you can just go over to add new, create new wallpaper, and then just have a new button at the top, just say like Apple Intelligence, and let you put in a prompt and have it make a wallpaper for you. So if you want to say, you know, a beach at sunset, it can go ahead and make that image for you, and that can be your wallpaper. I think that would just be such a great feature to add, mainly because of the fact that if you want that specific photo or maybe that specific shot that you might not have been able to get, or, you know, you saw something on Twitter and you're like, oh, I really like that as inspiration, you know, how can I use that? Well, now you can essentially put it into Apple Intelligence and tell it to do it for you. And there are definitely ways around this. You can go into image playgrounds and then make the wallpaper from there and then like bring it to photos and then just add a button into create new wallpaper and for Apple Intelligence or Image Playground, and let me, you know, put in the prompt and have it created in that perfect, you know, fit of the screen, so you don't have to worry about. So whether you're on a Pro Max or a Pro or really whatever, it would make it so that the photo essentially would fit your screen, which I just think would be so nice to have instead of, you know, having to do all those steps as I mentioned before. Now, Apple Intelligence is contextually aware, and it's going to pretty much say this notification is important and allow it to break through if you have a focus mode on and stuff like that. So I think the ability to essentially automatically delete an email or mark it as spam, or even give me the choice to say, if this email looks like it's spam, just delete it. Don't even like let me see it. Just kind of in the background of just get it out of here to prevent more people from falling for scams. And even if they're so sophisticated, you know, this looks like a spam, delete. And you don't even have to worry about seeing it or falling for that scam. I think that would help out a lot of users. And even the ability to maybe just mark them as spam. And I think this would be something where Apple would give the user the option, just like they do with the verification codes, where you can delete it after it autofills it or leave it in messages. I think this would be one. You give us the option to say either completely delete it or just mark it as spam with like a flag or something and tell me this is spam and let me decide what I would want to do with it. Personally, I would just say delete it and never let me see it just because that's one less thing I would have to deal with. But then again, to each their own. As Apple Intelligence is already taking the summaries of your emails and letting you essentially see inline summaries, so just delete the email if it's spam. I think that would just save so many people so much time and just be an overall great experience. While we're talking about flagging stuff as spam, if I'm getting a phone call that's from constantly seen as spam, carriers are slow to adapt, essentially when a phone call is constantly seen as spam to mark it as spam on our end for the consumer. But seeing that Apple Intelligence was essentially be able to see like, oh, this phone call has called 400 other people and has said your car's extended warranty, just mark it as spam or don't even let them through. That's another thing I think Apple can definitely probably do with Apple Intelligence is if it's a known spam call, just flag it as spam or don't even let it ring anymore because, again, why bother me if you're already doing so much to essentially help me by not having me fall for scams. I think that would be a great change. I also think telling me that the phone call I'm on is spam because maybe it's an AI voice or something and it's very hard to tell that this is an actual scam that you're falling for or a spam. Just have it tell me essentially while I'm on the phone with the person, hey, this looks like spam. Don't interact with it. Don't just hang up the phone, essentially. And also, here's how you can report it. I think that would be very nice to have just because of the fact that it would essentially just help keep us safe, which I feel is something that Apple and overall a lot of the AIs aren't doing just yet. And I think we'll see that in the future. But using the AIs to help us stop falling for AI scams, essentially. Because you can take an email and put it into ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot. It'll tell you, oh, this looks like a spam email because it's not from a legit source and all these things. But seeing that we don't really have that with Apple Intelligence or really any of them natively, and Apple Intelligence is going to be built in everywhere with the iPhone 16 series, the macOS Sequoia, iOS 18 for the 15 Pro and Pro Max users. I definitely think we can get there eventually. I think once it becomes more mainstream, we'll have that feature. Now, another thing, Apple gave us app tinting. Let me make custom app icons, okay? It's one of the things I feel Apple kind of missed with iOS 18. You gave us app tinting, but now all my apps look the exact same as they all have black backgrounds. And I'm someone who I use light mode during the day, dark mode at night. My app icons during the day look exactly the same, but at night, they're dynamic and they're dark mode, essentially, which I think there's nothing wrong with. But allow me to go in and kind of say, I want my icons changed and let me, essentially, have Apple Intelligence make them, and have Apple Intelligence make them. As I said before, we have image playgrounds, so if I can go in and say, make a messages icon for me, and have it natively just essentially replace the messages icon, I just think that would be so nice to have, because it would allow more personalization to come to the iPhone, which we're already seeing with the new Control Center, the app tinting, and placing app icons anywhere. So I definitely think this is something we're going to get in the future. But as I mentioned before, let me know what your thoughts are on these, because I think these are just some great ideas, but there are definitely so many more out there. So let me know with a comment down below, and while you're down there, if you want to hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. But I want you to remember that today's a good day to make a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.